Hey YouTube, Tokyo here, and this is a rather different video. However, in this one, I would like to show you all my custom LEGO 747 Jumbo Jet. This model contains an estimated 20,000 pieces and took roughly 2 months to build, and during this 2 months it went through many different iterations, and I will explain why later on, but anyway, here it is. TWA operated over 100 of these aircraft at one point from the time when they first started operating them in 1971 all the way to their bankruptcy in mid-2001. The most famous one was unfortunately the one bearing the symbol tail number N93119. This plane, which was TWA Flight 800, exploded over the Atlantic Ocean because of a fuel tank explosion in 1996, unfortunately killing all 230 people on board. However, some conspiracy theorists claim it was the US government's doing, still to this day. As you can see, I have used pieces of paper to display the actual livery of the aircraft that was used from the mid-1970s all the way up until the late 1990s by TWA. And there's even a section for the tail, as you can see here, which comes with the American flag, and there's even the tail number, which was completely unique to each aircraft, not just TWA, but literally every aircraft ever. This aircraft is only held up by its main body landing gear, the two on the wings and the two on the fuselage, and one support, which is meant to represent the nose gear, because the nose gear, unfortunately, are simply just not strong enough to hold it up. But as you can see here, no other supports other than those, just like the real aircraft. And as you can see here, if I zoom in, the engines aren't even touching the grounds on either wing. There is a bit of sag, which I do hope to fix, but still, they aren't in contact. This plane has many different features, however my personal favourite is its fully detailed interior, so let's look at that, shall we? First we remove the tail section as it is furthest back and otherwise will have loads of stability problems, and it comes off just like that. You just pull it up and it just pops off. There are no supports holding it down, just gravity. Next, you remove the rear section of the central fuselage here, which just comes off like that. Next, you remove this section here, the largest section of the plane's roof, and it just comes off as one piece like that as you lift it up, and it's strong enough that you can actually hold it straight from here without it breaking. The next section that you remove is the upper lounge section. You just need to remove some pieces along both sides. After that, it just comes off easily as that. And finally, there is the nose section, which has no supports holding it down, and so just comes off like that when you pick it up. After this is finished, the complete interior of the Boeing 747 Jumbo Jet is now exposed. Up here at the back of the plane we have the bathrooms and the rear pressure bulkhead that helps keep the air in mid-flights. This plane has a very vibrant interior, as you can see, based on the colours that were very often used in the 1970s. However, I will then show you my favourite part of this plane, apart from maybe the spiral staircase. No 747 ever actually had this feature, but Boeing did propose it for them to have. It's called the Tiger Lounge, and it would have been in the belly of the aircraft near the rear, and it would have been a place to sit, drink, talk, and look through that window there that literally goes straight down through the bottom of the aircraft. So while the plane was cruising at 40,000 feet, you could have watched the ground move below you. Airlines didn't ever actually use this so they could have more cargo space, but it still is a very cool thing in my opinion. This plane to have. Here we have the forward nose of the aircraft, and if I take off this part here, you can now see inside the cockpit with its 3 crew members, the first officer, the captain, and a flight engineer back there. This is because it's an older aircraft and so computers weren't modern enough to take the roles of the flight engineer managing things such as the fuel gauges. And I did try to put some controls in there, even though it's a bit hard to see for the flight engineer. Here we have the upper lounge of the 747, and this was only on the 747 models 100 and 200 because in the 1970s airlines such as TWA had to deal with the oil shock from the Arab trade embargo, and this caused them to have to raise prices to try and make more money, even though fewer people came on their planes because of that, and so they made even less money. And this lounge, as you can see, is rather inefficient when it comes to space, as it can only seat about 6 people, even though you could easily fit over 10 in this area. However, I did decide, because it's only has a couple seats, to put quite a lot of effort into it and to make all the seats look very nice and use 1970s era colours. Like the seats here, as you can clearly see, can rotate and they can recline, and they act like modern seats basically on airliners, because they would have been, because this is the first class, the most premium area of first class, and they would have had a bar as well if you wanted a drink, and I also included that here. As you can see, it just has some couple of glasses on it and some wine containers. But anyway, as I said, only the first two generations of 747s actually had these, because they were just too expensive to run. And so the 737 300, 400 and 8i, they just put seats up here, and I think that's a real shame, of course, but you know, it is hard to run something like this, particularly when oil was at a record price like it was in the 1970s. This aircraft is fully modular. I mean, that's how I was able to get it outside for maximum portability. The wings can break into one inner section and one outer section, as you can see on this line here, where there are these tiles. These are to help stop it from flexing too much. And the fuselage can also break into two sections. The nose section can break off, as you can see here with these two tiles. They basically disconnect, and then the nose comes off simply. And the same thing is on the rear side of the plane. As you can see here, these tiles help hold together the center and the tail sections of the plane's fuselage, which can of course break off for portability. And although this plane took 2 months to make, this version you're seeing only took about a week to make, but it was just really difficult. I had to go through many iterations, because as you can see, if you can see in there, that's the wing box that holds the wings and attaches them onto the fuselage of the aircraft, and it's very difficult to make that right. And because I really wanted the wings and the engines to not be touching the ground, because I tried to make this plane several years ago and I just couldn't fix that. And as you can see here on the left wing, it is sagging quite a lot. On the right it's higher up, but on the left it's almost touching the ground. I do hope to fix that in the future, and of course add more tiles to the wings simultaneously. That's a rather arduous thing for me to do. And I mean, I've gone through multiple times where I've spent basically like days trying to build a wing box for the plane, and then I apply a bit too much force and it literally snaps, and because the whole plane is connected to it, it breaks it all. Overall, this project was an incredibly, tremendously difficult job for me to make, and although it took me about 5 designs, I'm still very happy with this. Yes, it's multicolored because I don't have enough of the same color pieces to make it fully accurate, but I did my best with it, in my opinion, and it still does its job of looking like a 747-100. But anyway, that's besides the point. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, and you can maybe recommend to me a different plane that I can make in the future, such as like a DC-10 or a B-52, just something comparable to this. But of course that's up to you to decide, and anyway, thank you for watching this video. Oh yeah, and don't worry, by the way guys, I'll still keep making my old YouTube short style videos eventually, and I'll be making other long form videos of the same type. I just wanted to make this video because I thought this was very interesting. Anyway, bye!